Now, this sermonette is for all our young people. Surprise, surprise. Well, you're not surprised. You heard it last night. As you grow up to become adults, you must come to understand the difficult things, sometimes the ugly, truthful things. Some of these things take years to grasp, beginning with your own human nature, to see how what you may want to do good things, but sometimes you fail, and sometimes you even do wrong things. And we all make mistakes, big and small. You just come to see the nature of society and the dynamics of people who are by and large outside of their relationship with God. And some people, you'll find, take a joy in doing evil. It's the job of the church to help you understand all of this and to have a solid relationship with the Creator God and to understand His plan of salvation for all humanity. The message about that wonderful plan is the crown jewel of the church in this age. It is more valuable than any amount of wealth, than all the gold in the world. It is the mystery of the ages, to borrow a title from a book, the mystery of all human experience, at least up until even greater things are revealed to humanity, hopefully soon by God. Now, it's my desire that you become firmly rooted and grounded and based in your understanding of who you are, what you believe, and why you believe it. So as you go forth with your lives, you can confidently do so in the best possible way as our Creator, loving Creator God defines best, and not as society defines it. Now, today is the 9th of April, 2022. An important anniversary took place on April 5th, just a few days ago. Well, actually, it hasn't taken place for yet 41 more years, because on April 5th in the year 2063, the inventor Zefram Cochrane first tested the spaceship with warp drive, making interstellar spaceflight possible. He believed in his theories of physics enough to take the flight alone, and so to prove that it worked safely. Now, as of 2022, it is still 8 years until Cochrane will be born. I'm sure that many of you have seen the vivid depiction of this in the Star Trek movie First Contact. Cochrane's part was very well played by James Cromwell. After the importance of Cochrane's achievement was fully understood, according to the universally acclaimed Wikipedia, then his name was revered among humans, with entire universities and cities and planets named after him. At least that's what they wrote. As exciting as the future biopic was for me, the important part was there were huge risks in traveling faster than the speed of light to actually warp the space-time continuum. Until warp drive had been perfected, anybody testing it would probably die in the process or stranded in space without any hope of rescue. Who knows where they would be? In the biopic movie account, there was never any question that Cochrane would make the first test flight. He laid his life on the line to prove it could be done safely and to encourage humanity to follow him into the future that no one could even envision, to be able to boldly go where no man had gone before. When humanity was envisioning space travel in the 60s, I was a kid in junior high school then, they first set up animals to see if they could survive the trip. After several mice and then monkeys made the trip without bad effect, only then did humans go. But Cochrane was so confident that he skipped these trials and went directly into space, playing loud music as he went. Starting with the very first humans, many, if not most, have thought there must be more to life than just the here and now, and somehow eternity calls to all humanity. Little did anyone suspect that being the first being who created humans also shows us the way that we could live forever. And little did anyone suspect that the inventor of this reality, of this universe, of the stars and the planets, of life itself and humanity, would choose to demonstrate the safety of that process by going through it completely the first time himself, when he was changed from flesh into spirit at the moment of his resurrection. Afterwards, he was eager to show selected others, that the process really did work, and I'm sure he took great joy in presenting himself to his many disciples after his resurrection. One reason I'm sure that because he kind of played a trick. If you read Matthew 24 towards the end, he kind of played a trick on two of his disciples while they were walking together until they realized who he was. And as much as I enjoy the fanciful and well-depicted account of how Zephyrin Cochrane tested the warp drive on April 5th of 2063, remember that date, of course it is fiction, and the account of his death, the account of the death, burial, and resurrection to a glorious spirit being of Jesus is as real as it gets. The fact that I can tell you about warp drive and how it was first tested shows how deep such stories go into our modern culture. People and stories that were vivid in the past have faded. You know, how many of you kids have heard of Laurel and Hardy? I loved them, watched them on TV. Little Rascals or The Lone Ranger. But these stories have faded away. These heroes are now, even in the memories of older people, but not in the younger people. They have never heard of these people. But the history of Jesus, as recorded in the Gospels, is timeless and important for all humanity. Now, based on other episodes of Star Trek, it's clear that the principles of how warp drive works eventually was taught in schools to eager young engineering students like Montgomery Scott and Georgie LaForge. Only the brightest students could grasp the math required. That was shown in the Star Trek episode. A ship that could fully take advantage of warp drive was inherently large and required a competent crew. The voyages were often dangerous. But the loving God who designed the full process of resurrection to eternal spirit created something that anyone, any human, could qualify for, and it was offered to all humanity at no financial cost to anyone. The least capable of all humans could qualify. Indeed, people at the highest levels of intelligence will have more personal difficulty with the process than the lowest of people. The terms are simple: repent and be baptized, live your life in faith, keep the commandments, love the brethren. God's way of life provides us with many metaphors and illustrations of His faithful love towards us. His glorious plan of salvation is depicted in the yearly cycle of the holy days. The stories about the crew of the Starship Enterprise only show concern about the here and now. When a starship is blown up in an encounter with the brutal Cardassians, a humanoid species from the Alpha Quadrant, there's no concern shown for the dead except for mere numbers. The same could be said for the 2 billion who lost their lives when the Death Star destroyed the entire planet Alderaan. But our loving Creator God cares for every single human who ever lived. He intends to give each and every one an opportunity to make a fully informed decision about joining God's family as a spirit being and living forever. Jesus is truly our loving, eternal elder brother, and He has truly gone where no man has gone before. He left a life of glory to become one of us, to suffer and die in order to provide humanity a way to the future that no science fiction author could imagine. Indeed, no eye has seen nor ear heard who no human mind has conceived, the things that God has prepared for those who love Him. To you young people today, you have a priceless opportunity to see, to understand, and to act on what you know when the time is right and when you are ready to accept that priceless offer that Jesus makes available. And now you know why April 5th is Zephyrin Cochrane Day, at least for a few science fiction fans. But putting away childish things, we must go to real things, the hard truth about things, about mortality and about life, to spiritually important things, to observing the anniversary of the death, the burial and resurrection of Jesus, and then on to focus to the necessity of purging sin from our lives. It is my hope that your clarity of understanding will grow in both about the spiritual blindness and chaos of this world and about God's truth that is available to you now because of your special circumstances. May you always treasure this truth and always move towards God's light.